Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Your favorite podcast, it's Critical Plus.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 9th and 10th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish. They're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many, many independent comic book makers. Head on over to kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Silver Sunday this November the 14th. I hope you are all well.
Hello.
Having trouble? I just got. Did y'all see those notes? So we're on. I see us on YouTube. I see us on Twitch. So do y'all see us on Facebook? Somebody?
Yeah. On Facebook.
Oh, that's interesting. I just tried to post a comment, but it wouldn't go. It says having trouble connecting. Please check your internet connection. Well, I hear you just fine, so my internet connection is working. So how y'all doing this evening?
Doing well. How you doing?
Okay.
I am not as sore as last week, but I'm still feeling some burning in the thighs, particually.
What are you dancing or something? What are you doing?
I was bike riding again.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds like fun.
At least we didn't have to run from any alligators. So we stopped in our bike ride, right? And we're sitting there, one of the pictures that Tommy took. I think you posted them already, haven't you?
Well, I posted them to everybody in the
in the group. Okay. Anyway, so we stopped at a little picnic area, and a biker comes riding back by, and he pulls in. He goes, "Oh, I see the big gator's gone." I'm like, "What?" Yeah. He goes, we rode by, there was a big gator right here. Wow. Of course, I'm like immediately like, "What?" What?
You're like, where? And he pointed out, and we looked over, and I'm like, "I don't see anything." And I'm like, "It's behind you! It's behind you!"
Yeah, and that's when Tommy pulls out the tried and true. I don't have to outrun the gator. I just got to outrun you.
Yeah. And at this point in our in your new biking career, I am way faster than you.
Oh yes. So Tommy's really not worried about seeing a bear or a gator or anything like that.
I've already seen all the good stuff out there.
Yeah, Roland's here. I'm good to go.
Well, they're not after you or anything. They're just kind of hanging out on the side of the roads, just sunning themselves and just trying to. They're not doing anything. There's if there was really any alligator attacks and that kind of thing, typical, they wouldn't let us do writing out there. So
Yeah. You say that now, but just wait until they want to decide they want a Tommy snack.
no, like I said, I'm going to kick your bike over, and I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah.
I'm going to do one of those.
All right, so we should have us an interesting, fun show tonight. We're going to talk about, for a little while at least, frequent mistakes made by rookie comic creators, and then Tommy showed me something today we might play a little bit too. So I'm Roland. I'm the host. I write a handful of the comics, including Silverline Team Up, Champion Miss Fury, Bear, and then I play Wrangler to a bunch of these folks. So Curtis, tell folks who you are.
Sure. I'm Curtis Fujita. I'm the creative director at Silverline, and I am also a martial arts instructor. I'm the creator of the upcoming Silverline comic book. Tommy's killing me right now. Shadow comic by Kung Fu Master.
Kung Fu.
I focused. All right.
So we all know now, if we ever have to get into a fight with Curtis, you just distract him, right?
Yeah.
you just do a bunch of this and distract him.
Curtis would be like, "That's wrong. That's just totally wrong." Then
Like,
you punch him, and then you
I've
run
never
real
seen that style. Amazing. What is it?
For some reason, martial arts always equates to somebody doing the robot in slow motion. Like, I don't know what this is. Like, if you're chopping vegetables, or like, But
I think it's the straight hand thing.
Yeah,
That's all I got.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Roberta, how about you? Tell folks who you are.
I'm Roberta Conroy. I'm a former Malibu, then Marvel comic colorist from the 90s, from the LA area. And I was just coloring the Silverline Team Up Champion and Miss Fury. And we finished that not that long ago. And I'm also the colorist for the Cat and Mouse series.
That's right. And I heard something nice about your mom, Jerry Bingham. I was having a conversation with Jerry Bingham recently.
Yes.
And he said he was he goes, the way he met you, he said, I was having problems with my truck. And he said, Roberta's mom helped me out. He said, she was so very nice.
Your mom's a
nice.
mechanic? I didn't know your mom was a mechanic.
My dad was a mechanic, but she's helpful.
Wow, that's cool.
So, yeah. So
that's that.
he said nice things. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Tommy, tell folks who you are.
Thomas Flormonte Jr. Been doing comics since early '90s. Mostly got started with rolling in the gang there, doing some early Silverline stuff, some early Cat and Mouse, and some Demon Tales, and a bunch of other stuff. But I did a bunch of Ultraverse books and some Marvel books. Got to do some Spider-Man stuff. Did a little bit of stuff for everybody. But currently for Silverline, I working on the Trumps book, doing the Silverline Team Up book that Roberta just talked about, that you're writing, Mr. Roland. Also doing. Just got done with a bunch of the Christmas books. And look at that! There's somebody that's popped up on there that said hello, everyone. That Thomas guy. That's pretty cool. And also doing the reject. So if I do any screen sharing, I'm going to be working on the reject book. I think we're going to try to launch that somewhere in January February, somewhere. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
And you also.
Oh yeah, I'm also the co-owner of the of Kablam Digital Printing with Indie Planet and all that good stuff, which. Apparently we were having server issues today, but we got it all taken care of.
Some Barry's post about that, yeah.
Oh boy, that was a mess.
We were out riding bikes and Barry's fighting with the server.
Yeah. Oh, it was web hosting companies. You gotta love them.
Goodness. Stephen Brown Hart says, "Hey, what up? What's up, Stephen Brown? Appreciate you joining us again, sir." Jackson, well, you got to get Jackson on here. He says, "Gators get peckish." Right? That's what I'm saying, Jackson. and the thing about it is, they're not going to chase the fast guy, right? They're going to chase the slow guy. So,
yeah. And who's that?
That's me.
Oh,
So
nah,
I'm gonna practice on my speed here.
Wait, what they say the thing about when if an alligator's chasing, you're supposed to zigzag? Isn't that what they say? I don't know if that's true or not.
You're supposed to circle around behind them, aren't you? I'm
They
guessing.
can snap behind themselves.
I-
I've seen it happen. I watched The
Have you?
Crocodile Hunter.
I'm just gonna no. What I told Roland when we were riding, I'm like, we were in a different area that we've been before, and I was like, what I tell people when I take them out on the gravel bike ride and mountain bike stuff is, if you see something on the road, do whatever you do, don't freak out. Just keep pedaling. Just if there's a snake in the way, or some deer are sticking their head out in the way, or if you do see an alligator sitting on the side of the road, don't freak out. Don't go squirrely and run off the side of the road. Just keep pedaling and get past it. Get a half a mile down the road before you freak out, and then then you can stop and go, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. There's an alligator right in the road.
Jackson says, Tommy, take your gator lessons from Lake Placid.
Oh, that's right, from the movie. Yep.
So
yep.
True story. So Lake Placid's an older movie. What, 1970s probably? Is it that old?
Mhm,
Yeah.
something
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
So my son was this is when he was in high school, right? He's getting ready. He said, Dad, we're gonna do a band camp, blah 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 blah. No, where you going? Blah. He goes, Lake Placid. I said, what?
Oh, really?
He said, yeah, we're going to Lake Placid. I'm like, say that again. He said, Lake Placid. I said, are you sure you're going to Lake Placid? Yeah, sure enough, they went to Lake Placid. Wow. I did not show him the movie before he went though. So I guess it's a real place down here. I didn't go, but yeah, he went and had a good time. It's a band camp, but I thought it was just a made up place for movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny.
So yes, it is funny. But anyway, it was fun. Enjoyed it. So just gotta get my legs and my constitution up.
Your cardio, you got to get your
cardio. There you go.
Get your endurance going. Get your
So
you're doing fine. You did great.
For all you gamers, that's constitution, right? I
Oh, that's right. That's
had to make a con roll. Yeah. So all right. So anything else before we? So we miss. There's a few folks we're missing. I've asked. There's a couple conventions going on this weekend. Pete was at Thought Bubble. I just know he said it was somewhere up north of where he is, and I think Pete's in the London area. So,
so north of us, you mean? No, you mean where you used to.
Which is funny because if you know too much, if you know very much about the geography of it, that's like the whole island, right? Everything's north of London. So I don't remember exactly where he said it was, but I do know he said that it was north and he was going. I saw one or two posts already about others at Thought Bubble, so it must have been a pretty decent show. But hoping that maybe he'll swing by for a few minutes. He's probably conked out and maybe give us a con report. We'll also asked Dean to give us a con report on Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention.
So
he was there.
Dean
Zachary. Dean was there. John Martin was there.
Yeah, I saw him posting stuff.
Yep, and Rory Boyle of Steam Patriots was there. So I didn't realize Rory was going to be there. Mitch Faust was also there.
That's the thing you and I did a few years back, wasn't it?
Yep,
was
I sure did. Yep, that's where we met Ant-Man dude. Remember?
Yeah.
Talking about Dave Desmalchian? Is that?
Oh wait, you weren't at that one though. No, you weren't. Yes, David Desmalchian. I met him and briefly. He's in Dune, by the way. Did y'all know that?
Yeah, he's one of the villains.
Yeah, right. I know. I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, hey, that's Polka Dot Man. So, yeah, he was incredibly nice. It was good. This is one of the things that I always liked about the smaller shows is that when they've got somebody of note like that, there they usually walk around the con floors, right? You're not going to see them too many of them walking around the floors at San Diego Comic-Con because they get mobbed,
Yeah.
But he walked around the con floor at Memphis, and we got a picture with him, and super nice guy. We gave him some comics. So So hopefully we'll get some con reports. But anybody else got anything? Don't tell anybody.
Not too much. I mean,
vacation.
When are we going to see the Curtis? When are we going to see the video?
oh sure. So we
Yeah.
got it set for the first Friday in December,
Oh, cool.
and I saw a rough cut yesterday.
Oh,
and
cool.
It's looking
I bet
good.
you're excited. I bet you're really excited.
So cool.
Thank you, and we're gonna start releasing actual photos from the shoot, as they call it in the industry. We're gonna release those about one a week. So first one's gonna drop tomorrow, and then we'll subsequently each week.
You're gonna release like little 5-second clips too, maybe, or no? Just
It's not a
photos?
bad idea. I'll talk with the guy with Wallace about it. But yeah, it's coming.
And he froze up.
That could be cool. That'd be good.
I like his face. I like his froze face. That's
Who,
pretty
Curtis
good.
or me?
No, Curtis. There he is. He's back.
I didn't
Oh,
freeze on my
yeah.
screen.
Oh, he froze again.
That's funny.
Yeah, you did really good. You've had me.
We're gonna have to do that sometime. We'll all plan to freeze.
Yeah,
on
Yeah.
somebody.
You could fool anyone.
who breaks first during content.
That was good. That was good. You had me on that one.
Thank you.
So who wants to share while we're who wants to share first while we're talking?
I'm still finishing up the Christmas thing. If you want,
Are you on the
share
last page?
huh?
Are you on the last page?
I'm on the second to last cat and mouse page.
Yeah, let's do it then. Do it.
Cool.
Do it. Because those are good looking pages.
Mhm. Yeah. Good looking book.
Yeah. Stephen Brown says still no change on my campaign yet. Stephen, same thing. I'll tell you. Please feel free to post the link, so that everyone who comes here can see it. Phil Leon says, "Hey yo, everybody." Phil hopefully will be joining us here in the on some of the streams in the coming weeks, as he is the colorist for the White Devil #1 that hopefully will launch Thursday. Fingers crossed. It's been submitted to Kickstarter, so fingers crossed.
Here's our page.
Looking
Nice.
good.
Cat and mouse. It's so great.
Ooh, I remember that.
Now, Tommy, I got a question to ask you. Is that the page that Pete made the comments about the balloons about, or was it a different page?
There looks like a lot of room for talking right here.
No,
Okay.
it was.
And not a lot here. So I hope we don't cover up a lot of people. I'm really worried about this panel. And there's a rat.
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't know what it was at first. I'm eking, and then I'm like, "Oh, that's the rat from earlier." And then I had to go back in because I thought it was just like
and he's
debris
right there
or
too.
something. And I'm like, "No, that's a rat." So I erased it and started over again. Well, you ink, debris different than you ink organic stuff, and so trying to give it different textures. So I had to go back in and fix it. But all right.
And what is this like? He has so much restraint.
Yeah.
When I was inking,
It's funny. He's like,
too bad Pete's not on here because I was going to ask him what he was doing. Is that like a from the Star Wars Force thing? He's like,
mhm.
These are not what you're looking for. Phil says, "White Devil." That's
Nice.
right. I just noticed that it covers Roberta up completely. Doesn't it?
Is that does he go around screaming that? Because you might get in trouble if you just do that, out and about, like in the mall or in Walmart or something. Don't do that in Walmart.
No.
Don't do that in Walmart.
He does not. He does not go around screaming that. No.
You might get in trouble.
So there. Why was that not up there earlier? I don't know. My son said I should move the Silver Sunday to the center of the screen, and the Wednesday Wham and all that kind of stuff. Because see, like, what happens is when we do stuff like like this, like you can see
covering up your head.
Comment, completely covers up Roberta when we do that.
Hey.
And well, and see, so I learned this. I can move myself, right, and then it can cover up me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which I
cover
think,
you.
Well,
You
if it goes on the left side, can you make the cover up some of the coloring for the comments because they're brief?
yeah. So I can't swap sides. I can't put us on the right hand side. I have tried, but I can't. Wait a minute. Screen layout. Shift +6. What is that? Shift +6.
Well, that's possible.
No, I don't think so. That's just a hotkey to get there. Wonder what this is. Oh, look at
That's
that.
better.
Nice.
That's better.
That's cool.
Oh, but yeah, but what happens when we do this? Oh, it moves us
Hey, I
up.
moved it up.
Nice.
Oh,
That's
I'm getting
perfect.
That's
getting
kind of
seasick.
cool.
bouncing me around like that.
I did not know that was that's what that was. Cinema layout. Oh, that just gets rid of all of us.
Leon
That's
needs
just
to be getting rid of
so.
anything.
There you go. Steven says, check out Crypts and Legends on Indiegogo. Here's the link. Yes, you guys need to go check out Steven's Indiegogo. White Devil sounds like a metal band. Okay, so let's go ahead and get on with our topic here. Mistakes that rookies make, and I think it's a frequent mistakes, but it doesn't have to be frequent mistakes. Now, this can be anything from phone conversations to artwork decisions to story decisions to convention. We talked about conventions once before, so we probably covered some of that. But basically, what mistake? It could be for like printing stuff. What kind of mistakes do creators make? Rookie creators. I'm going to tell you one that I see rookie writers make a lot. When I support, of course, you guys know I support a lot of crowdfunders. So one of the things I see a lot is they fail to establish. And one of the oldest rules in storytelling is you have to establish your setting. In high school, we just called it the setting. What's the setting, right? You had to do book reports on when you read stuff, right? The teachers would make you. I wonder if I can actually scoot these over. Can I scoot these over? No, I can't. Your teachers would say, "Hey, what was the setting?" Right? And you'd have to tell them where it was and when it was and that kind of thing. I notice I'll pick up a comic by a rookie comic book writer and I'll start reading and I'm like, I have no idea where this is. I don't know, and it's the kind of thing that's easily fixed. It's a caption, a simple caption. Some of them think, oh, well, I don't want to put captions in there because, well, look, you don't have to put a Chris Claremontian caption in there, right? You could, but all you really need is, New Orleans yesterday, right? And then your reader knows exactly where they are.
That's a good point. I remember when I was when I showed you my first draft of my comic book. That was one of the things that you told me. You were like, well, it was just such an obvious thing, but you were saying I had all these captions and it was redundant because that was in the image, and you're like, look, they don't need to read what's not what's already there. He's like, tell them that they can't see. He's like, oh,
yes, yeah.
There's no need to have the people saying, "I'm going to punch you. I'm punching you in the face," and then somebody's punching somebody in the face. It was like, well, it's like, no crap. I see that you just punched me in the face.
It really hurts.
Yeah. Now, you can have them, oh, ah, oof.
That's the sound effect. Yeah,
right,
rather than
yeah. Don't tell Aaron that though, but yeah.
Aaron, if he's listening, Aaron's characters exist in a vacuum, right? There's no sounds. Another thing that I see, and you guys don't put all of the pressure on me about this one now. Another thing that I see frequently is that the characters don't call each other by name. And I think this comes. This is my theory now. Right? So I told you the problem. Now I'm going to tell you my theory as to why I think this exists. I think that it exists because this comes from the idea of television and on the nose dialogue kind of stuff, right? Tommy froze.
No, he's pretending.
No, it's not. Yeah, Tommy's
He's trying to get.
hey, he may be frozen. Tommy?
I'm here. Hello.
Oh, you are frozen. Your image is frozen.
Oh,
Oh, he's
So,
come back.
yeah.
my.
Thanks, Steven. Steven actually plugged the Silverline Christmas special, which is still in demand on Indiegogo. So thank you for that, sir. So Tommy, you got a black screen now. I can hear you, but I can't see you. So
I'm gonna jump out and come back in.
okay. But one of the things, and part of it is like, well, I want to have a real. I want them to sound like they're having a real conversation. We'll get. Yeah, I know, right? We'll get to that in a minute. It's like so. I'm like, well, that's fine. But the problem is, I don't know who these people are. And part of getting your reader to have empathy with your characters is they got to know them, right? They got to know who these people are in order to kind of have some empathy for them. And if your characters, if they never call each other by name, then your reader is not going to know who they are. Now, sometimes it means that they do things, Curtis, that you wouldn't normally do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that, right? Because
Yeah.
we don't normally do that. We don't normally kind of call each other by name in a conversation like that. Now I might yell out, "Hey, Curtis!" Right? But in a conversation, you don't do that kind of thing. But if you don't do that in your comic, then they're not going to know who they are. And so I kid you not, I have read through an entire comic book and got to the end of it and said, I don't know who these people are. They never, ever, ever called each other. There was not a caption identifying them. And there was never a line of dialogue that's, said, hey, John Boy, Billy Boy, Bob, whatever. He was never, the characters were never identified. And so it's like, I don't know who these people are. That's a serious problem.
Definitely. I did when I was writing articles for Kung Fu Tai Chi magazine, I ended up being like the entertainment correspondent for like Los Angeles because I'm out here. And so I would do like interviews or, on the phone or in person and record people, actors and such.
Yeah.
And then when you try and transcribe it, you realize, oh my gosh, you never want to actually write
No.
how they talk because it is the cadence is weird. There's lots of ins and ums and mid-sentence and all that stuff. So it's really about, adapting it really. And
right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the thing, exactly what you're saying there, Curtis, I think the thing is that we have to remember that we're not writing real dialogue. We're writing entertainment dialogue, right? I'm not, it's not as you the exact words you use. It's not a transcription. Right? I'm writing dialogue to entertain someone. And so I got to cut out all the ums and uhs. Listen, I went and listened to one of our podcasts, and do y'all realize we all do it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
so I
maybe some of you do. Y'all do. Some of y'all. Not me.
You couldn't even get that right. So there we go again, right?
Yeah, there you did it.
Jinx.
So yeah, you don't want your dialogue to sound real because real conversations are not that interesting, right? Fruit bat 36.
No, I have a question for Roland as a writer, right? Because I've writing my comic book and working on it, of course, I start paying more attention to things, for the first time. And what I find fascinating is seeing how people like sneak in exposition dumps and stuff like that, like how they, there's little things that they throw in so that the audience knows without it being so obvious,
Yeah.
and things like that. I was talking with my friend Tim Devar, who is an animation director.
Yeah, I remember Tim.
Name dropper.
Yeah. Well, no, it was funny though, because we were joking and we said, just for once, I would love to do a sci-fi movie where you make fun of the exposition dump, where somebody walks in the room and there's all this cool technology and somebody goes, "Hey, could you explain to me?" Or what is that for? And the scientist goes, "Wouldn't you like to know?" And then they just but as a writer, how do you feel about that? Because there's things that have to be said.
Yes.
The audience has to know, especially the world, if it's sci-fi or whatever. But I mean, there's heavy-handed. There's not. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, so one of the reasons that secondary characters exist is so that your character, and people sometimes have a problem with like, oh well, Robin is there, he's an idiot with Batman and Robin. It's like, well, you know what, Robin was there so that Batman could explain things to Robin, but what he was really doing was explaining things to the audience, right? And Robin's like, gee, holy willikers, Batman, what is that? Well, Robin, this is blah, blah, blah. And then he explains it to Robin but it also explains it to the audience. That's probably one of the very best ways to do it. And so I've taken up only in the last probably the last year. So our students at Full Sail. So one of the things they get to me, and part of their problems with the dialogue is that, so show, don't tell, show, don't tell, show, don't tell. I'm like, that is a great rule and it works, except let me put a little asterisk here for comics, is that sometimes you have to tell. But what I mean by tell is that you don't want the omniscient narrator to come around and say, and Sally feels like she's been neglected by, John all this time. No, what you need, if this is what you want to communicate to the reader, Sally needs to say, John, why do you keep neglecting me? Right? She needs to voice that because it carries more power anyway from her, because you can give emotion to it. You can give body language to it. But if your omniscient narrator comes in and says, Sally feels blah, 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 that's telling. Now, if Sally says almost the exact same thing, that's not telling, that's showing, because Sally is voicing that. Does that make sense?
It's within the actual framework of the story.
Yes. Yeah.
So what do you think? Because some of these people I've heard people say outright, like, exposition bad, lazy story writing, exposition no. And I was like, I don't even know how you could tell a story without that.
I disagree with that. I don't think. I think exposition can be bad, right? But I think exposition can be good if you use it in such a way that it becomes part of the spirit and the flavor of the story. How can that be bad? I probably copied this from Roy Thomas or one of the 70s greats. But one of the things I like to do, I kind of like to start my stories with a little bit of exposition to kind of draw the reader in. Heck, Denny O'Neil.
Do me a favor. Explain to myself and everybody what you mean by an exposition.
Go ahead, Curtis. I'll let you take it.
Oh, me? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So in the early 2000s, there
I'm glad I hadn't taken a drink yet, because I was not expecting that.
No, I mean, and I don't know, Roland can correct me because I don't know the exact terminology, but essentially it's basically an explanation of something. It's style, it's verbiage that explains what's going on. Probably the most obvious one would be like when you see, like, if you watch a movie like Lord of the Rings or something like that, how there's literally like an info dump in the beginning. This is the world, this is the scenario, and let's get all that out of the way. But like we were saying too, it can be worked into dialogue.
Yeah.
And like Roland said, because I often hear people say, oh, well, you need that in a story that's fantastical, you need that beginner or the stranger or the visitor, somebody who doesn't know that world. And that's who the audience lives through, so that everything can be explained to them. Welcome to our village, and let's explain why we worship the sun god and sacrifice children and whatever. That's not my story, by the
way. Tommy, you probably see it a lot, and you've probably recognized it in episodic television. because I know you and they watch TV. So one of the things that really bothered the fire out of me watching the television show is to watch two characters. Well, you're just mad because you stole my boyfriend and then you went off and ran away to California with him, and now you're back just to rub it in my face, right? That's exposition that what they're doing is telling the reader what they've missed, right? It's like, here's what happened to all the episodes coming up to this one, and I'm catching you up. There are good ways and there are bad ways to do it, right? Obviously, that's a bad way because you don't want to do that. And, trying to figure out how to have your characters have that conversation is not really easy. And that's one of the challenges of writing is like, how do I make this dialogue communicate the information that the reader needs to know, advancing the story without making it sound like an info dump?
Visually, one of the coolest things I saw that was fascinating was I was watching Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon, right, which was his first U.S. movie. And at that time, U.S. audience just didn't know what the nunchaku was, right? They didn't know that it was hard or what the material was made. And so I was watching the other commentary, and the director, who's American, was like, hey, so we made sure that the guard was swinging it around and walked by this metal statue and accidentally hit it. And you heard this dong before the fight scene, just so that the audience would know this is a hard weapon. So when Bruce Lee gets it, they understand the severity of what's about to happen, which I thought was
I mean, that's
cool.
that's very cool. Yeah. I mean, and that's the kind of thing that I think that that so many rookie writers don't consider is they just think, oh, well, they'll know what that is, or they can see it. Well, yeah, I can see it, but I might not know what it is. And you can't assume that every reader is going to know exactly every single thing that you've drawn. I mean, look, Tommy has been inking for 30 years or more, and he didn't know that was a rat. Were we live when we talked about that?
Yeah,
we were, weren't we?
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Tommy didn't even know that was a rat, right? so I think sometimes readers, you don't want to treat your reader as dumb, but you don't want to treat them all as Mensa holding PhD folks either, right? Because
I think you have to have a flow, and if you're lost, you're stopped.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Roberta, for lobbing that softball to me.
Sorry.
So, one of the things my students say about stories that they read is that I'm lost or I'm confused. Okay, and they feel bad because a lot of them don't have a whole lot of comic reading experience, and they feel bad because of that. And I said, no. Here's what you need to take away from this as a writer who's learning to be a writer is that if you're confused in this story, that's not your fault. Yeah. That's the writer's fault. It's the writer's fault for confusion. So if anyone ever comes up to me and say, yeah, I tried to read your book, but I got really confused, I feel horrible because that means I failed as a writer, right? Because I did not effectively communicate to them what they needed to know in order to understand the story.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that was a great softball, Roberta. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, how does that work with stories, that have been going on and on and on? Like every issue that you need to talk about how, how Spider-Man got his powers and this guy is, sticking to the walls and all that kind of stuff.
So, yeah, you have to, the answer to that is it depends on who's editor in chief. But so Marvel has a rule, and I actually checked with an editor friend of mine about a year ago, and he's still there, so I think the rule is still effective. Fruit bat, you took the words right out of my mouth. He said each issue is someone's first. Mm-hmm. That's exactly Marvel told their writers to treat every issue as if it's somebody's first issue. You pick it up, you don't know what Spider-Man can do. You have to know. And DC Comics, I've got their editor's checklist with their permission. I've got their editorial checklist, and one of the things in their editorial checklist is to be sure you explain the powers, and we see them being used. One of the most brilliant things that that Stan Lee did with the X-Men was create the Danger Room.
Yeah.
because they can go in and have personal conversations and interpersonal relationships while using their powers in a controlled setting in a danger room, right? Practice area.
That makes sense too, because almost every issue will start with Spidey before it gets to the main story, stopping a bank heist or mugger, and it's always like, the guy goes, "Oh, you hit me in the face." He's like, "Well, my webbing's tensile strength is blah 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 blah."
Right, that's right.
and like it's totally true, right? And you were telling me too, that was one of the things that you helped me a lot when I was writing the first issue for Shadow Ghost, was like also having something exciting in the beginning, starting with acting, but that does serve that double purpose, doesn't it, to kind of establish all the rules and what they can or can't do before they get to the big baddie, huh? That's
because you want to know, you want to know what these people can do, because the other thing this does is this plants the seed of anticipation, right? If you see Spider-Man do this, right, they stop some baddies and uses some of his powers, you're like, ooh, look what he can do. Now, what can he do when Dr. Octopus, who was on the cover, right? What is he going to do when he faces this guy, right? And so he Spidey webs Doc Ock's tentacles together, and your webbing can't hold my tentacles together, right?
but you know what? You bring up a really good point. That's usually a structure, right? You see the good guy do his powers, then you see the bad guy do his bank heist or whatever, and then at the end, finally, we see them both, but there's kind of that buildup, huh?
Yep. It's all about that anticipation. R2D2 says, R2D2 for life says, it's not very polite to punch a lady. We agree. He's looking at the image Roberta's coloring, and it kind of looks like he was punching mouse. Yeah.
No, he's not. He's holding her back.
No, yeah. She's holding him back, right? She's
I
holding his fist back so he doesn't do it.
Yeah. She's got him by the arm, like, don't get that into his face. So it's probably like she's still holding on to it.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, no punching of these two, at least at this point.
No. We may have to get the two of them together. My daughter actually planted a seed in my brain for this story here. Not this exact story, but the storyline that I just went, wow, I really like that idea.
Nice.
So, yep. I can't talk about it here,
no,
obviously, but because it's going to be one of those, hopefully, that folks are going to say, "What the heck? I didn't see that coming." But yeah, it's my daughter planted that seed in my brain.
Good.
R2D2 First Life says, "That's better."
Yeah, no punching.
Yeah. Okay, so what else? What are some other frequent or some other rookie mistakes? What about art? What kind of mistakes do they make in art?
Too many close-ups of faces and not enough background in the shots.
Oh, that's a great one.
Definitely, and I would say also a huge one too is just, if you're talking about rookies, it's just like not knowing the rules, not knowing the basics. I mean, we were talking about Jerry Bingham earlier,
Yeah.
And I still remember, I was like, 15 or whatever. And he would actually have figure drawing classes in the lunchroom, like I forget, one night a week or whatever.
Really?
Yeah. So I got to, so he was saying, I was talking, he said, "Oh, you should get, basics." So I went there, and, as a 15-year-old boy, it was an eye-opening experience, as you can imagine, being in a figure drawing workshop. But it was so true. When you look at some of the best ones, it's like, it's that age-old thing, you got to know the rules to break them,
Yeah.
And when you look at, that's one thing I miss about a lot of the more classical comic book artists and people like Jerry Bingham. They were like illustrators first,
yes,
comic book artists second, and even people like I love Dave Gibbons' work, and to be really candid, Dave Gibbons, like, his people don't always look the most attractive. They're not always the most appealing, at least for me, but everything is solid. He draws everything. And there's nothing that gets you into a story more than not noticing those things, like why is that guy's pinky bent backwards, or why is his face misshapen, or things like that, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why you look at like Dave Gibbons. I mean, I haven't seen one book he's ever done that's not completely consistent through and through. So I'd say that's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned a lot from Jerry.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's really great.
Jerry's
Having him around.
a fount of information, and I'm going to continue to stay on him to join us sometime. Just come hang out with us.
Oh, that'd be so great.
Yeah.
You know, I have a drawing. Before I left for college, I had a blank sketchbook, and I was smart enough at the time to get everybody to do a sketch. And I got Jerry to draw me Dracula, and I have a pencil Dracula drawing by Jerry Bingham.
What the heck?
And,
Wow.
I'm so glad I had that forethought.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
Man.
Yeah.
Fruit Bat says lack of establishing shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. And, you know, I think that kind of goes with kind of what Roberta was saying, is that, you know, too many close-ups of faces. I'm going to, you know, another Marvel rule was, and I don't know if it's still a rule. I hesitate to say it's probably not. But another rule that Marvel had, Aaron Humphrey says, "What up, oh, what's up, Aaron?"
I was just about to talk, Aaron, but thanks.
Of course.
You're interrupted already.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh shoot, what was I saying now?
Marvel's rule.
Oh yeah, so they had a rule that anytime a character entered the scene, the artist had to draw the entire body. You had to see them from head to toe, right? In order to establish the character. So you couldn't just, you know, the first time we see Magneto, we couldn't just see a glove, right? Because the readers go, whose glove is that? Oh, I don't know who that is, right? So the idea was that you need to establish the character so that the reader goes, oh, that's what that character looks like. And then there, you know, when you see the glove next time, you go, oh, that's Magneto's glove. I know that, right? Aaron says, "You're welcome. It's all done out of love."
But you know, when you're talking about establishing shots, and this is a little bit more into film, but one of the most, I never been to share with anybody that I noticed this, but it's phenomenal. I saw Hitchcock did this, and then Spielberg did this, but Hitchcock did it in North by Northwest. You've seen that movie, and there's a scene where the main character is supposed to actually be in hiding, but he's amongst a crowd of people at a train station. So how do you make this guy that's supposed to be inconspicuous and blend in be established in this crowd? And what he did is he had this one woman wear a red dress, and she walks through this crowd of people with gray suits, but she mirrors the timing of the lead character walking through the crowd. So it's like a highlighter, and your eye locks onto him, and then you establish him.
Wow!
And so Spielberg did that too in the Close Encounters of the was it third kind?
The third
Yeah.
He did that at a train station too. He was trying to lock in on the character, so he just had somebody wear like an orange dress or something like that, and walk alongside him long enough that your eye, you know, caught it. So
wow, that's pretty cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's helpful.
Yeah. Really cool.
Yeah, Stephen Brown says, when I was writing CNL, number one, I trying to figure out how to tell the reader that that they're only going to see a small part main character's power, hoping not to give away anything. I had the character's uncle say that one part of the ability was just one of the many unknown abilities that he can do, that there's more to come. Yeah, and I guess that's something you can do for for build up, for anticipation, if you know that they can do something. We were in my class. This was a great observation. My class pointed out the Avengers movie, Ultron, right? Which I liked because it had the Vision in it. But they were all like, "What were his powers? I don't know what his powers were." And I realized that, oh, you know what? You're right. Yeah. They never ever said what his powers were.
Yeah.
He just, he demonstrated them in that big fight at the end where he was phasing through them and that kind of stuff. But they never said what his powers were.
Oh, definitely. And if you ever seen the I should be careful how I word this, the Vin Diesel action film XXX. See what I did there? That was I put an established position.
That's right.
We're all on the same page, right? No, but there's a scene in it, and all my friends in animation and storyboards always bring up this scene. There's a scene where Vin Diesel is supposed to jump this fence, and he jumps this fence, and there's this huge, glorious explosion, and he's on this motorcycle flying sideways. You never see a ramp or anything that explains how he's able to jump this fence. He's just driving towards the fence, and then there's this huge explosion, and he's like 12 feet in the air going over it. And a lot of people get caught in the spectacle, but it's like, how did he get over that fence? You know? So,
Yeah.
funny.
How'd you do that? Yeah.
The answer is,
Fred
wouldn't
says,
you
"Oh,
like
that's
to
what the
know?"
main-"
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's the director's cut.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean, there's just there's things like that. Again, I know the Vision, and comic book fans know who the Vision is, but more than half of the students in my class did not know who the Vision was because they don't read the comic books. I got a couple of comic book readers in my class this month. Yay!
Nice.
But the rest of them were like, yeah, I don't know. He can pick up Thor's hammer. That's all I know. I mean, really, oh, and he has the mind gem.
Mhm.
That's all they knew.
But
And I'm
you
like,
know,
that's kind of sad.
They
On the
even
other
know what the
side of
mind
that-
gem could do. Is another
Right.
thing.
yeah. But on the other side of that, though, and spoiler alert, but I'm sure everybody's seen it, is in Age of Ultron, you see this scene where everybody's trying to move the hammer, and Captain America moves it just an inch,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
just an inch, and that's kind of alludes to in the big finale, right, where he's actually
Right.
able to lift it,
Yeah.
which I thought was masterful. It was so great.
Yes, that was a fantastic scene.
Oh God, I love that part.
All right, here we go. Rookie mistake. Completely throw out 50 years of canon and write the character as if he or she is just like you. Man, that's so true. So this goes on to something that's like when you work on an established property, right? It's if you were to go write Spider-Man or Batman or something like that. Now, here's where it is a rookie mistake, but I don't blame the rookie completely on that. You guys with me here, or do you just lay all the blame at the feet of the rookie? So let's just put this in for instance. What if this is just say Batman? Completely throw out 50 years of canon for Batman and write the character as if he or she is just like you, the writer.
Well, that's a self-insert, right? And
Yeah.
I think the thing is I mean that to me that I'll answer with a question is that just begs to question
I
like
give
what's with all these reboots and stuff, all this
Don't
stuff.
give up, Roberta.
My option key is supposed to change the tool, and it gives me a minus on my lasso,
Oh, really?
which is, and then I go to draw it, and it acts like a plus. So it's like, haha. Like, no, I didn't add, I subtracted. No. Do it 3 times in a row. I'm like, I'll just trace it again. Screw you. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, is that a rookie? I mean, we're talking about rookie.
This is Adobe doesn't play nice with Macs anymore, and
Yeah.
it's been a fight for a long time to get the tools to actually behave the way that they were written initially,
Yeah.
and they don't really.
Yeah.
What I know to do, it doesn't listen. It's kind of like, well, maybe someday I can afford to keep changing computers over and over to see which one would fix it, but
Wouldn't that be nice?
right now it's not working. It's working better. My laptop does the same thing, so I know it's not just a computer. Adobe. Thank you, Adobe.
Tommy, you were going to say about
No, I was going to just say,
writer.
well, we're saying rookie, meaning like a new. Are people making rookie mistakes? Is it somebody that just doesn't know any better? Like you're talking about changing characters that have been around, or I forget who said that about the 50 years worth of storyline and they were changing. So is that just a beginner writer mistake, or is it something that the company's decided to change everything, and it sounds like a rookie mistake kind of a thing?
Well, and that's kind of where I was kind of sort of trying to lead. Is that I don't think. He says I was being sarcastic. It seems to be the professional choice at Marvel and DC now. Sadly.
Yeah. Well, I knew. I was just trying.
But here's what I would say though: is that I don't blame. Let's assume it is a rookie writer. I don't blame the writer for that completely. I blame the editor. The editor is the one that should say, "I'm sorry,
Say
you've
no.
ignored 50 years of Batman canon. You can't do that, right? You got to go in and fix this." And sadly, and you know, we try not to go there too much on our streams. I tend to agree with the R2D2 for life in that I just don't think that there's anybody at Marvel or in DC anymore that knows. I just don't think that they know.
I think the biggest thing is it's this idea of custodianship, right?
Yes.
Like the editor should be the librarian. I mean, they should be the custodian of these amazing stories and legends, and the creative team should be too.
Yeah.
And if not, I don't see why they should inherit it. It's like if you inherit a family fortune, you should know how to spend it or whatever.
Right.
If you don't, then that's okay too. Then you can go ahead and start your own thing. But there is kind of a responsibility if you're inheriting something to perpetuate it and at least keep the core values, the core idea. Otherwise, why are you the person that's been entrusted with this legacy? And I don't think anybody's even asking that question these days.
Yeah.
And that's very sad.
It is. It is very sad because as R2D2 points out, is that they throw so much out the door that you're just like, this is not, and this is why I think a lot of people start saying, oh, well, you know, these characters aren't recognizable. It's because, well, they're not. They're completely different characters. They just happen to have the same costume on that you're used to seeing, you know. But yeah, I think you're right. I love the term librarian that you use for them. You know, the editor, no one should know Batman more. I mean, I know there's always going to be super fans, right? But there should be very few people that know Batman better than the Batman editor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah.
And they should like Batman too.
Right, they should like Batman.
What if the companies decided to make the boneheaded decision and they're like, oh, we don't want Batman to have the ears like that anymore. We don't want him to have rabbit ears. You know, that's the way Batman should be from now on. That's stupid. That was a very bad Batman with rabbit ears. But you know what I'm saying? What if the company decides that they want to change, you know, and they go, no, he's not like that anymore. We're changing it. So should we, you know, that's falls into the rookie mistake. But I mean, you know, it's we can quit reading the books.
Here's my take. Actually, Roberta or Curtis, either one of you have a take on it?
Well, I mean, I just throw this in. I heard somebody say this once. There's a channel called Midnight's Edge. If anybody hasn't checked it out, it's phenomenal. And they were talking about this whole thing. And one of the guys explained it to you this way. He says, imagine he was running a steakhouse and you came to eat steak there. And when you ordered the steak, he brought out a salad and said, this is better for you because steak has cholesterol and all these things that are bad for you. And you said, but I ordered a steak. And he said, no, this is my restaurant and it's bad for you. So you are going to eat this instead. And I think that's kind of the climate we're in.
That's a great example.
I'm in agreement with you guys. I'm just saying, you know, that I think it's at some point we got to go, well, that's not my Batman anymore. I'm going to quit reading it and then let it go down in the dumps and be done with it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's it. I think that at some point in time, you got to stop going in there and eating the salad that you know you think is a steak.
Yeah, exactly.
But what happens is you know you keep going back and ordering the steak and you keep getting the salad and you keep getting mad.
That's my point. That's what I was trying to.
Yeah, right. You keep going back. So I think that the chef in this case is going to continue to bring you a salad until everyone stops going in.
Yeah.
Right.
When people stop going in, he's like,
that's the sad part. I think to me that's the bad part. Yeah.
Yeah. And finally, he's going to say, "Why is no one coming in? I'm giving them great salads. You know, it's good for them. Why aren't they coming in? It's because people are going to the steakhouse right next door to you because you stopped serving them steaks."
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And this is why I think, the independent, this is a great time for independent comics because, if we can find those readers who are, if we can find those consumers who are tired of salads
Exactly.
and say, hey, we got steak over here,
Well, our
Um,
secret weapon as independence is sincerity. That's our
Yep.
secret weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Because sincerity and earnestness has kind of disappeared a lot from the mainstream. And that's the one thing that we offer and the one thing people want. And so until things change back again, we got a home
Yeah.
court advantage.
Yeah. It's a great comment from Fruitbat. It says
Yeah.
part of the issue already alluded to, though, is that companies aren't real sure who their reader is.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
That's a good point. It's a very good
Or
point.
are they trying to change who the reader is? I don't know.
There could be that too.
Yeah.
I can't make the comment go away now. There it goes. Yeah, I think that I think they're not sure. I think they might think that their reader is one demographic, but it's probably not. And the old demographic keeps eating the salad and complaining about it.
That's a good point. I think Roland might have frozen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
He made fun of me.
It's going around. It's going around. Roland, I don't think we can hear you either. So, well, I mean, maybe Roberta and Tommy, you can comment specifically as a colorist and as an inker. What are some rookie
Mhm.
mistakes people make in those chosen fields? What would you say?
I think as far as inking, sometimes you can see some stuff that's just over. A rookie mistake would be just over rendering things sometimes. If that's what we're talking about, or not practicing enough to get to unless the artist tending to need to be more rough and what I'm saying. But sometimes you look at some stuff and you go, oh, it should have practiced a little more and get cleaned up a little more. You didn't need to draw all of the in every shot of the two head, the two people talking. We didn't need that background shot in every single panel of the, I mean, just think of like Spider-Man's web slinging and doing his thing, and he's fighting somebody, but in every panel it's just a fully rendered background New York scene, and every man, it's like, well, we already saw it in the first one. We don't need it.
Right.
We just see all the fun stuff and the action and so maybe over rendering sometimes. Oh, it's just too busy, too noodly. Let's clean that up a little bit, make it simpler.
well, I think on the coloring side, it's kind of the same thing.
Mhm.
Where you can make it too busy so easily by having the same amount of contrast hitting every muscle or every corner or every turn. It's like after a while, like I could render each part of his face,
Yeah.
but at some point you really want to look at his eyes.
Right.
So like I'm sticking with the nose to have detail, because the more I go down the chin, it's gonna start leading your eye away from whatever he might be looking at.
Mm-hmm.
So just like rookie mistakes, I think, are treating every surface with equal intensity of highlight and drama.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Oh,
And I
that's
think
great. That's fantastic. I think that's absolutely right.
Yeah, and I think that's why you two and Pete are just such an amazing visual team on what you guys are doing on like this page and everything and Champion Miss Fury, because there's such a rhythm and a speed and a cadence that's so pleasurable to read the books, and you guys are just like all, like, as corny as it sounds, all on the same page. So
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I
really,
like that term.
Yeah, I do too.
but really like the Silverline team up Champion Miss Fury. I mean, there was there was a great cadence to it, all the way across the board, and it was just so fun to read because of that. So yeah.
Oh, cool.
Thank you.
Glad
It
to hear
was-
that, yeah.
It was written pretty good too. I don't know
Yeah.
who wrote it, but it was.
It was written pretty good.
Somebody
That's really it.
put a little too many word balloons over some of the
Yeah.
stuff that Pete and I and Roberta did the art from. Thanks, whoever did that.
I'm particularly looking for this upcoming page that Pete specifically said it's just going to get covered up with balloons. I thought it's kind
I think it's the last page
You
where
wanna
there's
see-
the
you
two
wanna see the
faces.
blank-
talking.
no.
The
Oh
ink
yeah,
version
no,
of it. I
but
could pull it up.
yeah. So do you have actually page one? Pull up page one too while you're
Sure.
pulling that one up because I want to make a comment about page one. Oven says hello, Silverline family. Hello, Oven. We have missed you. Where you been, Oven?
Oh, it came up.
What's up?
There we go.
Kasisi, what's up,
Hey,
Kasisi? I know
All
he's
right, page one.
For those of you who don't know, Kasisi has a Trump
That's
story
right.
in
Mhm.
the Christmas special. So okay, so if you look at page one there, so zoom in on like the first panel, right? If you can,
Mhm.
right, and then see that's cat and mouse in the foreground, and then in the background. So look at the top
On the
left.
phone.
Yeah, there's a Santa Claus there, right? But look at the top left. Top left.
Right, top left.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like
look,
here?
there's a dude. I'm pointing at the
This
screen
guy?
like you can see my mouse. Yeah, I'm trying to use my mouse to point. Right. See them peeking around the corner.
Yeah,
Right. So my first bullet.
he's hiding.
Yes.
That
I'm
guy.
like, I can't cover that up. Right.
Right.
So scoot down to the next. I think it's the next panel.
Sure. So we got.
No,
Santa
it's not.
Claus-
It's not that
Santa
one. It's the
Claus
one
butt.
after that.
So look, there's almost nowhere on this
Right.
panel to put anything. So that's
Ah.
just action.
Especially
So-
the name of my restaurant. Don't cover that up.
So
So, yeah,
look right
that's
there.
fine.
So that panel right there. Then look at all that fun stuff going on in the
Yeah, I know.
background. Right? So Santa Claus is throwing stuff at these kids.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Pete
They're all
drew all
charging
that.
him.
I'm
And I'm like,
eating this, and I'm like, "What is Pete drawing? Why is he drawing all this stuff?"
where in the world am I going to put these balloons? Right? so
In
look
his
at the-
hair, I guess, if there's enough
Well, I ended
room
up
and
putting,
on the building, I hope.
well, I
little
ended up
bit.
putting it kind of below them a little bit. I think.
Okay.
Got a guy running through like a plant of a
Right.
plant bed of stuff, and
Yeah,
behind
stepping on the
little.
plant.
But see,
Things over-
right. So look at the next panel too, though. Right. So it continues on.
We're
Look,
still
they've
going.
got him-
There they
they've
go.
got Santa Claus on the ground beating him up. Right.
They tore apart the little
Here's Santa
sign of
Claus.
stuff, and it's got the little presents laying all over the ground. I'm like, Pete,
So
what are you
sad.
doing?
This
Right.
one's so dark. I was like, oh man.
Is it just me? I hope that it's the same Santa in every story, and just at the end, he's just like, "Oh, it's like the roughest,
know-
the roughest Christmas I've ever had in my life."
We should have planned that. We should have said, "This is what if you take Santa's mask off. This is what right. If you take his whiskers off,
Yeah.
this is what he looks like." We should have planned that.
Same
but we
guy
didn't.
and everyone.
Yeah.
That'd
Yeah.
have been awesome.
All right.
So anyway, yeah, that was in putting the text there. I'm like, where am I going to
There's
put these balloons?
Nowhere.
I can't cover these.
Nowhere on their faces.
Where,
right?
there's no room that you can put word balloons in there. So I'm
Say
gonna
nowhere.
since Pete is not here, that's a rookie mistake that he didn't give you room to put word balloons in that last panel.
Or
Well-
very little needs to be said. More
Oh,
like, hey, let's deal with that.
touche.
On
So-
this particular panels
Here's
are
the difference
very
between
action.
this one. So usually, now you guys know I'm a big fan of the Marvel plot first method, right?
Mhm.
And I love that because then I can just tell the story, the penciler can illustrate it, and then it really is up to me to make sure I don't cover the stuff up. Pete had a full script for this one. So he knew everything that was going to be there,
Oh.
right?
Pete purposely
he
did it
was-
so you didn't have any room.
He was fully equipped with all the dialogue and everything. So this one is a little bit different because he had all of that information there.
That's funny. That is
Good
too
to
funny.
know.
That's funny.
I think it ended up being okay. I should probably try to dig up the lettered the version to see to show.
Mhm.
So what was the other page then, Roberta?
So, which one? Oh, I was saying, do you want to see the last page or do you not?
No, it's the last one
No,
where he talked
exactly.
about that you were going to put the word balloons in there.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
the word balloon, there was a word balloon issue with that one.
So-
this page. No, that's
Oh,
the
that's
wrong
that's
one.
Demon.
That's
yeah.
the wrong Demons last
Yeah.
page. What?
Oh,
Where
you
did
just
it go?
spoiled it. Oh, you little
That's
bastard.
cute.
Everybody, close your eyes.
I think they
yeah.
missed
Yeah,
it.
everybody don't look. Don't look for a second.
Yeah, I think they missed it. There we go.
Yeah. Fruit bat. Oh, yeah. Fruit bat 36 is
So,
going to have this issue with
where
Wolf Hunter.
can you talk?
Yeah, look at all those people. They're
Where
all.
can you talk here? And where can you talk here other than maybe a little bit in
Yeah.
the clouds and a little bit in
What-
the grass?
But
And
I
then
want to say
you-
again.
Don't cover up those cool cop
police
cars. 'Cause
cars.
Those look so good. I can't wait to
Yeah,
see what
these are
Roberta
really cool.
colors them. They turned out they
Yeah, they're
inked
cool.
up real nice looking.
Mm-hmm.
I want
I
to
love it.
repeat again though. Pete had the full script for this one.
There, see,
has-
lots of room.
Right there. Yeah, that's
Lots
all
of
big. You got this. Everything needs to be said right there. In that
So anything said in this panel, I hope drops down a little,
yeah.
And
Well, it's
here's
the one right
lots of room.
It's
Whatever
that
it
one
is.
right there. That's the one.
There's
he said
all the
he's-
text in the
Yeah.
story. These two
He's-
panels. This
Those
one
two.
He
said-
said he started to draw something in between those two faces. Then he goes, "What am I doing?" He's just going to cover it up with balloons. So,
No.
Yeah.
but the thing about it is, storytelling wise, that really works because we know he's already established for us where we are. Right? We don't have to see something going on in the background there. So,
Right. Yeah, this can be nice and simple.
yeah.
Well, no.
Got it. And then he's pointing, and you don't have to hear much. It's all good.
Yeah, that's true. What Aaron just wrote.
What
Aaron
did I-
Humphrey said, for coloring, is the person getting the rainbow effect by using every color there is instead of trying to discern what colors work and what don't? That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
You don't have
kind
to
of
use. Yep.
Yeah, that was an issue when everybody was able to get their hands on Photoshop. Whenever
Photoshop.
Adobe made it, it's always been an expensive piece of software.
Oh,
But when everybody was able to get it, they were using those ugly. I mean, just back in the late '90s, everybody had ugly
Oh my
those
goodness.
textures that they were using.
Oh,
I
yeah,
remember
flat
those.
textures.
Yeah, those really crazy, ugly little textures they were just putting on everything, and it's like, oh well, no, don't quit doing that. Or those, yeah,
Yeah.
that's some ugly stuff that people. I did it too. So I'm not because you thought you do, like Aaron said, you thought you could, why not? I got 15 gazillion million colors. I'm going to put it in every panel.
Yeah.
Why are there 5 lens flares in this panel? I don't know.
That's right. Yeah, that's these that pop out and yeah.
Yeah.
Most in taking sometimes you'll see somebody the colorist will do a motion blur over the line art. Sometimes it looks good but you see people do that a lot and you're like, oh, that just looks really
Hey,
bad.
Kasisi, you want to jump on with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hear from Kasisi.
Kasisi, yeah. Let me
That'd be
let me see
great.
if I can't dig you up here. If he's still, he may not be listening anymore. But Kasisi is I don't think he would be offended by me saying that he's a rookie. He's got a couple of things. He's got a couple of things going. He's let's see. All right. All right, Kasisi, if you are interested, I just put the StreamYard link in a direct message to you on I think on Facebook. So click it and come on in and join us, and you can talk about some rookie mistakes, even things that you've seen, maybe things that you've experienced. But yeah, so join us if you can. He may have already bailed. I know I do that too a lot of times on Facebook. You see somebody pop up live, and you pop in and you watch them for a minute, and then you're like,
You
okay,
say a couple things, you go, hey, what you guys doing?
right, yeah, and then you move along. It's kind of like the Star Wars thing, right? Move along.
No, nothing to see here.
Okay, let me drop a message to him. Okay, keep talking.
Oh yeah.
Well, one rookie mistake I made it. So and I would say for almost any job, but especially like when I was getting into video games, I was interviewed and they asked that same old question, like, where do you see yourself in like 3 years or 5 years? And so it was the art director asking me, And I said, well, in 3 or 5 years, I'd like to be an art director.
Oh,
Well, I don't think the current art director really liked the idea of the guy he was going to hire wanting his job. So that was yeah, I didn't get that job. Just
Yeah.
why would they
Spoiler
ask that?
Lots of other rookie mistakes is overcommitting, right? Trying to tell them that you can do too much stuff and not being able to, especially on books that have tight deadlines that have to be met. Those are you end up screwing up everybody when you say,
Yeah.
I can do 15 pages in a week. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, I can't do 3, but I'm going to tell them I can just to get the job. You're never going to get another job if you do that. At least not with that editor or that group of folks.
Right. Well, and I think that's part of. I mean, wouldn't you kind of agree that that's part of being a rookie is that you want to convince the editor that you can do this. Yeah, I can do it. Give me the work, right? Because you want the work. So
They'll give you a shot, and maybe you'll surprise yourself. There is
Right.
Get it done. Yeah.
I mean, I can remember, back in the rookie days when you beg for work and then you get it, and then the deadline is fast. You're like, oh my gosh, and you don't sleep for 3 days, right? Because you're trying to get the work done.
One I would
So-
say is for rookies of all sorts is
For 3 months.
There's nothing wrong with taking work that's not paid or work that has payment delayed for later, but really make sure it's the work that you want to do. It's a project
Right.
you think is cool. I can't tell you how many times back in the day I would hear, well, it's great for your portfolio. It's great for your
Yeah.
Oh
portfolio.
yeah.
And truth be told, I think the realization is at one point somebody was trying to get me to do free artwork for them. And this is years later after I had some experience. And I just told him, I said, it literally costs me less to do nothing than to do
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a snot, but I've said that same kind of thing. Said, I think I would just rather watch TV. I think, well, you can help me, and I'm like, oh, I just, I want to do it, but I think, maybe I could just I could go to sleep earlier that day. Not, yeah.
The worst I've ever used is I said, I have less important things to do with my time.
Well,
Because CC said he can't stop by, he can't hang out with us tonight, but he did want to stop by and say hello.
Hopefully next
hi.
time.
We'll have to get him on. I'll tell him we'll have to get him on here sometime.
Yeah.
One of the shows. Where is he located, by the way?
I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure where he is geographically.
Because sometimes the Tuesday show only has 1 or 2 people on. Sometimes,
Yeah.
or 2 or 3 rather.
Let's see. Fruitbat wants to show a page and comment on the Wolf Hunter page. So I guess we can do that. Fruitbat, probably send me the image in a private message, and I can open that up and then share that here. Because that's how we can see that. This guy's using a model for cat. So model for cat is supposed to be I didn't show that comment, did I? Model for cat is supposed to be a young Tom Cruise. Yeah.
I never heard that.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the same cheekbones
You
But-
didn't get the hair color this time.
and the hair
just-
color, yeah.
That's okay. That's okay.
But that,
That's who
You know,
Dean.
that-
It's who Dean used early on.
mhm.
So
I can see that now. Yeah, because the hair, it was
Yeah.
like a Mission Impossible.
Oh.
Yeah, he does have the hairstyle.
So once I so I've told you that now, and then once I show you this panel, you're gonna
Mhm.
go, oh my gosh, because it is. I mean, I might could dig up the file easier than I am digging through my boxes here. So
Well, while you're digging it up, Roberta, I want to ask you about a color thing.
Okay, ask me a color
This because I'm
because you can.
I'm a newbie at the kind of thing.
Mhm.
So, do you use like say the panel with cat and mouse there, that background color. In my mind, I can't come up with those colors when I'm trying to do things. So how did you pick the background color?
All right.
Are
Well,
you going to stick with that background color, or did you just throw something back there so that way you can
I
figure out what
did
your
just throw
composite?
something back there, but I think that given that I decided the floor color for the next panel is that close to it, it's working a bit. But usually I would use like what's outside color,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't like what's outside with their faces. It's
Yeah.
so what I did is I put the outside color in the back of all of it.
Mm.
Because ultimately the color has to serve the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the feel of of what's going on, right? Yeah.
And that's I think
So
what
it's
what
mood
yes.
over what I was initially hoping would read as the background to make it clear that that's where they are facing. So I put it all the way behind so that you start with that color and it leads you through like what's going on, this, you're tempering down. So I wanted the reds and the roses to fade because it's cooling off. So that's where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I like that. I always love how you use temperature. So masterful.
Right.
I just absolutely love it. Yeah, it's great.
And they've got a very colorful little outfit, with her hair and his hair. It's and they're greens everywhere. It's like you have to be careful with.
Yeah, I love how you've got a color theory in there. When I'm picking background colors, I go, oh, does this look good? No, that's crap. This one look good? No, that's crap. This one look. Oh yeah, that one looks good. I'm leaving it.
That is.
Oh, there he is. That's very Tom Cruise-y.
Yeah, that's very Tom Cruise-y, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his eyes got bigger somehow.
Yeah.
Over time, which I like. I think.
Well, different artists. Yep. But so that's so I looked at that. So the minute Dean told me that he was using Tom Cruise as the model, I looked at that and I'm like, okay, I absolutely see this now.
Mm-hmm. That's
so
cool.
How do I stop sharing now?
That's cool.
That's one of that's page 6 from Cat and Mouse #1. So
Nice.
So I guess I'm waiting on Fruit Bat to get his page in. So I got 920. So do Tommy or Curtis, you guys want to share? Tommy?
That'd be nice.
So you had some rejects?
Oh, sure. Curtis, you ever heard how to get your thing?
No.
Afterwards, we should talk about it so I can tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
So you should do a little tutorial for because I know Jose on Tuesday nights I think is having problems sharing too.
Yeah.
So
let's see if I can get this one.
While you're working on that, Fruitbet says, "Would Jake Hager, AEW wrestler, be an acceptable substitute?" I don't even know who that is, so I can't answer that. Cat is supposed to be 18-19, so if Jake Hager is considerably older than that. A younger version might be possible, but not an older version. So, I don't know. Sorry, I'm not a wrestling person.
Is he the YouTube guy?
Jake Hager?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I can't answer that. So let's see here. What else? What other? Let's see. Any comments? I'm looking to see if I can.
One thing I'd add is, and I just wish more. I almost wish there was a school about this in a course in high school or college. It's just the ability to read a room. I mean, that is such a skill, and especially in the industry that we work, right? Because we're a lot of introverts, tend to be in this industry. And being able to socialize, read people, understand what's going on, then pick up on cues, roll with things, stuff like that is like such an advantage that a lot of people don't have until they have a lot of experience.
Right.
They still don't have it.
Yeah. When the editor says, "No, kid, I don't have time to talk with you right now."
Yeah.
They probably mean they don't have time to talk with you.
Yeah.
That's a good looking page there, Tommy.
Nice.
Oh, this is gonna be fun.
Oh. For those who don't know, that's the this is the rejects page, and that is the villain Rapscallion.
I love that name. That's a great name. Great name.
So anyway, you don't have the one with all the sideburns done yet, do you?
Well, this guy.
Yeah, him. It's either I think it's a page just after that or just before that. When they're having this, it's just got that huge panel of all the sideburns going everywhere.
That sounds funny.
It's yeah. So yeah, if he's got it, I can't remember. It's no. It's the big panel at the top of the page, and it's either the page just before that or just after that.
Oh.
After the one that you were looking at with the sideburns character.
That's 11.
Okay. So it would be before that. Do you have page 8?
Page 8, I'm doing on paper.
Okay, that's why, because it has the big sideburn thing.
I think so.
Yeah.
You know, I've got it right over here, sitting next to me in the chair.
So the thing is, this guy he's his name is Burnside, right?
Yeah,
he's got
It's not Sideburn, but
not Sideburns, but Burnside, right? And he's got these big sideburns that act like Dr. Octopus's tentacles.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So he's got all these sideburns going everywhere when they're fighting, right?
oh, that's funny.
That's great.
That is so much comedy.
So here's a question from Aaron, and I don't know what this is. He says, "Do you ever use Kuler? Kuler? Kuler?
Tell me what that is. Tell me what that is. Sorry,
Aaron, tell us what it is, because no one knows.
I'm not sure.
So I'm going to hazard a guess. I'm going to say she doesn't ever use it.
I would say,
made you think
unless
that?
it's a term for something I do, I don't know.
For the color thing that she's talking about, that we were talking about, is that what there's actually I was going to get to that. There's a website you can go through where you can plug in 2 or 3, 4 colors, and then it'll give you some really obscure colors that match those, and you go, that doesn't, I would never pick that, but that's a perfect color.
Nice.
Maybe that's
Well,
the
I
case.
did. I went through color theory in college, and I figured that was pretty much,
Yeah.
the attitude that set, my choice patterns.
Yeah.
Based on,
Well,
just trying to figure out what cools something down and what gets your attention, and what moods they represent.
And see, I think that's perfect. And it's probably why we all love what you do so much, is that, you don't have to color everything exactly the right color, right? It doesn't have
No,
to
I
be
generally don't.
yeah, but it works so good. And I think that's partly why, is it because you do it to serve the story,
Mhm.
not I'm trying to draw to color a tree like a tree. Well, it doesn't really matter. What does it do to the story?
Yeah.
Yeah, if that tree is more interesting than the person, then you got a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things with Tommy was talking about the 90s, I think that's part of what happened in the 90s is that, after everybody discovered Photoshop, post Malibu, right? Everybody went, look what Malibu's doing, right? And everyone else found it. And then they just went crazy nuts with it. And it's just like, oh my gosh, do you ever look at those books from the 90s? Like, these are horridly colored, a lot of them.
That's some of my colors.
I like what Malibu did, which was, it had illustrators,
Yes.
mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What I thought was cool is everybody, even the people who weren't actual artists, had the same sensibilities across the board, and that was, it was like everybody was so connected in that idea. it was really unified. You know, I don't
Yeah.
think you see that as much with that many people, at least, right?
Yeah, no,
I think the
you're
other
right.
thing is working on Photoshop as a drawing tool when it wasn't generally made for being a drawing tool at the time
No, that's true.
Mhm.
was a learning curve for everyone, to the extent that everything you do could be done a different way in Photoshop. And so if you don't have the same attitude, I think you'd end up with kind of a mess, right? You know,
Uh-huh.
so you kind of have to be on the same page about like, well, here's the goal of what we're doing.
Right.
Definitely, I think it's restraint, right? Restraint is once you have the ability to do everything, then
Mhm.
the power is choosing what not to do. You know,
That's
Yes.
exactly
And-
it.
and it's like and that's kind of the thing, and you learn that by learning classically, by having stripped down tools, and then you can go digital and do whatever the heck you want. You know, but you still have that restraint. I wish more people understood that.
Well, I'm going to add some humor to the texture problem that early on when Photoshop was in that, you know, early stage of drawing, its drawing tools were easy. The filters would create a very long wait time.
Oh yeah.
Really?
So if you chose to do a filter of some
Yes.
kind with a
Yeah,
stupid
filters,
texture, you would wait for
slow
like 5
rendering.
minutes. And you're like, is it really worth that? Is it really? I could draw that right now with my airbrush. Oh, look, that looks better.
Yeah.
And it's the right colors and it doesn't have a flatness. And, you know, it's like, oh, okay, I could just hand draw literally everything.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So it out of necessity. I didn't use it that way.
Yeah.
No one I know does, for the sake that it just wasn't worth the time. Think.
Yeah.
You know, I one of the things that I really liked that that Photoshop allowed a more easier way to do it was color holds. I'm a huge fan of color holds used in, you know, I mean, used in the right way, like for Prototype, you know, all the blasts that he had, you know, he sent, those are just perfect, right?
Yeah.
And you know, you saw those sometimes prior to Photoshop, but not that much because it was, you know, a little harder to do.
But you remember how they did it in Malibu or no?
I do not know.
I remember
fun.
how I would ink them to try to get you
They-
guys to do color holds.
They would be a
Yeah.
separate film,
Yeah,
separate page, separate layer, and
whenever I wanted you to specifically do a color hold, I would do it on vellum or on another sheet of paper and say, "Look,
an overlay.
Yeah.
this line, this ink line here, make that a color hold." And most of the time you ignored it and y'all did what you wanted to.
Well, that's
Well,
kind
we
of
had
what
that
a
power.
well, that's kind of what what the layers do still, right? It's just a different, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying we knew what the inker wanted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you don't. For me, I'm just deciding because I see an opportunity. But you know, if I had gotten a layer that said, you know, all of these places, you know, that I've made specific lines in the background, I want that held.
Yeah.
You know, then I know for sure that it's not just something that
Yeah,
I
if you're
can ignore.
ever at a show and I still got a lot of my original inks, you'll see that I've still got some sheets where I've got, or some pages that I've got, you know, where you know, somebody will be flipping through the book and they go, "Why is this on another sheet? Does this go on top of here?" I was like, "It was a color hold, and you got to go through that whole explanation of why you drew it that way." And
That's funny.
they're like, "Well, that's not part of the art anymore." I'm like, "Yeah, it is. It was there."
It is part of the art.
Look at the page.
Look at the finished product. That's
That's right.
the art.
Yep.
And even the whole color designer position no longer exists, right? I mean, that was my first foray outside of the editorial stuff was doing the color designer stuff, you know.
Yep.
And
I
we get
remember
the
that.
cardstock stuff and color it. And it was like always such a joy to see how it would turn out when the teams actually went ahead and took it to the finish in Photoshop, you know. But yeah, it's amazing how streamlined everything is.
Yeah.
But I'm really grateful for that, because if they didn't have that step, you would have changes that would be very difficult to make.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or you'd have to live with things you don't like,
Yeah. Well, and
So
part of
it
it
really
was,
helped.
yeah, well, absolutely. And part of that was too, is that because, you guys were in teams. And
Mhm.
so,
Or
in
people
one,
think one, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't know. I can't do the math that quickly, but, at a 22-page comic, you wouldn't color all 22 pages. You'd color what?
You
4?
cover, yeah, you would
5? Yeah.
you would color as fast. If you were faster, you color more.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Well, didn't you
So
color
you pick up, you'd
scenes
have the
basically?
entire group. You'd have the entire group responsible.
Yeah.
And say, okay, well, these 6 people are doing this book. So, if I could do, more pages, then I would do more pages. So
Yeah.
like it wasn't specifically an assignment.
Yeah.
Which is great, because,
Yeah.
it just gave us the impetus to do things more efficiently.
Oh yeah. 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 I thought the team concept was a very cool idea. But it did take some coordination, that's where sort of the palettes came along, so, hey, we got to make sure everybody's, because the monitors don't all look the same. You can't just say, hey, your color is a little different than mine, let me brighten it up. Well, no, because the monitor looks different.
Yeah, and everyone's idea of what gold looks like totally
Right.
different.
Yeah. But if you have the palettes, then there's no guess as to, okay, well, this is the Nightman blue, right? Because the palette says it is. So, all right, I got Fruitbat 36's page here, and it's a little pixelated because it's a low res here, or blurry, I should say.
That's
see if
fine.
I can't
We can still see it.
share screen. All right. So let me see if I can't go solo for that. So,
Ooh, cool.
Yeah, this is a page from Wolf Hunter.
I like
I
it.
gotta make
It's a
it
very
pick up.
vintage look to it, which is totally with the
I
story.
want to play chess now.
It's nice.
That's great.
Cool.
Wow, it looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks
So
nice.
yeah, this is from Wolf Hunter. This is Tim TK, who is the Tuesday night host, and the penciler is AJ Cassetta with John Martin inks, and then Martin Mertonen is doing the colors.
That's
So
great.
Yeah, I don't know why John Martin inks make me think Doc Martin inks, but
Doc Martin.
Sorry.
Uh,
I just said that in my head. I was like, what? Yeah, John's fantastic.
You're gonna get a little complex, don't?
Yeah.
That looks good.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? Any thoughts?
I like the top panel a lot
Yeah.
because it has almost a fisheye
Very moody
look to it, and really, it just draws you right in.
Yeah. And I think like what Roberta was saying about not just having the talking heads, and one thing with storytelling that's so nice is it's also about movement. It's also about pace, right? So having that third panel where he's taking this big motion that opens up, and you can actually, if you're really looking at it, you almost feel a little bit more open and relaxed when you see that panel before it tightens back into panel 4. And that's just storytelling,
Yeah.
which is great. It's great. And then that panel there with his hand through his heads. I mean, putting that overhead makes him look smaller, makes him look vulnerable. If you put the viewer underneath looking up, he would actually seem more angry, more empowered, right? But this gives him a very vulnerable feeling, and there's no background, right? But that's okay, because like you folks
It's already established. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's the storytelling.
Right
He feels more alone.
And
there.
he might be thinking or saying something too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But
There's
no, it's
room there
great.
for that.
Yeah. I think this is a good example. Of course, this is not the colors didn't do it, but AJ did it. To establish. We get a longer shot. We see the two characters sitting face to face, in I guess that's some kind of doctor room or something. But then, so we've established and we know where they are. So then we cut in and we see this guy. We don't have to see all the backgrounds now because
No, you already did it.
we've already done it. Yeah.
That's enough.
Yeah. There was a great video. Fruit Bat said, he's still working on the bottom panel, but yeah.
Great. The colors are great. I love that kind of golden hue.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that tells us it's afternoon, right? I mean, a couple of o'clock, but I mean,
Yep.
it tells us that even though they're indoors, we kind of get a time of day. At least that's the way I'm reading it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And also I think too, one of the things it does is this is set in the 1940s. So it really kind of for me it kind of captures that 1940s mood and feel, you know.
Yeah, it's like sepia tone kind of. That's great.
So yeah. So good job, Fruit Bat.
That's great.
I love how we can look at each person's books and they're so different. I mean, it's like it's a different feel, I love that. There's so much variety. That's always so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's why Silverline is a genre spanning.
There you go.
I love that character. He's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the one that on the screen now with Tommy. Yeah.
See, Michael is so good for this. You can
Yes.
just see
Come on.
Yeah. I'm particularly pleased with a lot of the names of these characters too.
I like Hot Flash stuff.
Yeah, Hot Flash. Yeah. There's the Buckshot and One Round Kid.
Right.
He literally carries 1 round of ammunition, but he's kind of round. And then there's See-Through Man, right? Yeah. He's not the invisible man. He's a see-through man.
That's great.
So, there's and of course the villains are equally, there's the Dire Louse. There's
Okay. I didn't know that one.
Yeah, that's great.
The Dire Louse. There's even better. There's G-String.
Oh my god. Oh,
He's nude.
He's equipped with a fiddle. Yeah. A violin. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Those are great names. It's hard to get original names nowadays in comic books. I mean, it's like almost next to impossible. So it's great that you have so many original ones.
Yes, it's fun. I've got I think Tommy, did I send you a lettered PDF of over the pencils?
Yeah, we'll say yes.
Okay.
I think you did. I don't know if I've because I
read it.
Well, because you got me jumping around from
I know
thing to thing. It's like, I don't remember. Yes, yes, you did.
Well, so Haley's coloring this, right? She's just started working on it. So I did send her today the lettered version of the pencils.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so she's got the whole story that she can read and kind of see what's going on. So
yeah, she's going to do a great job.
Yeah, I think so. But all right. Well, any other mistakes you guys can think of?
please don't put black in your colors.
Don't put black in your colors?
Just to darken something.
Wait, now what? So you need to explain that to me. What do you mean?
Don't just put black in your colors. Darken everything. Because if you're trying to get a good shadow tone, and you add black to it, it adds gray in it.
It's just gonna turn into mud.
It turns into a very ugly tone. So you can put black in it, but just don't use that much of it. As long as every other color gets darker and it gets more desaturated.
Got you.
So it makes a richer tone. So I said, please don't put black just to darken it. Because a lot of people do that. They'll just slide the black up, to make the color.
Yeah.
Yeah, Roberta's talking a little bit of
CMYK, but if you're
not, a printing problem. When you add black to stuff like that, it just doesn't print very well.
No, it's not a printing problem. It's actually, it's more than that.
No,
It,
that's
it makes
it's,
a grayness. It makes a grayness in the digital art, even if you're not going to print it and you're just doing a digital copy of it. The color tone, it changes, and it makes it. And yeah, it's way worse when you print it, but
Yeah.
you can still see it as a problem
One of
because
the-
a lot of people will blend only two colors, maybe, you know.
Yeah.
So if you blend black to the color, you're gonna not have a richer color as it's getting black. It's getting grayer.
You know, one of the problems, you probably remember this, one of the problems we had at Malibu there for a while was that everything was very, very dark. And
Mhm.
I can remember having conversations with Emily saying, look, just color it the way you're going to color it. And then when y'all are done, just lighten it by 10%.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you don't know until you see it printed what the result is.
But it's always going to be darker. Always, always, always. I've never ever seen it not print darker than what we think it's going to be.
Well, nobody has their monitors calibrated right.
Yeah.
Doing the printing business for this long, it's like it's seldomly does anybody have their they may have like and I think the biggest problem is Adobe has what is that Gamma program that they send along with Photoshop and stuff, and they'll use it, and your monitor is a light, it's, I don't mean light as in a lighter color. I mean it's there's
It's a light.
there's a light in there.
Yes.
and and when people tend to have home printers or whatever, the people are calibrating their printer to the screen rather than the screen to the printer, and you just get a mess.
Yeah.
And so they got well, it's like their TV at the, you're watching your TV, you've got that sucker, the intensity cranked up, and you got it really bright, and because it looks really good, it looks really pretty for your eye. It doesn't print that way. And so so everybody's usually got their screens just way too bright and too vibrant and too
Fruit Bat said, "Don't make mud."
Yeah, that makes mud.
and that's like painting, right? Like a lot of people in the beginning, if they don't understand color theory, they're doing things, they'll just put like literally black or white and mix it with the red to make it darker. You have to know your complements, your cross complements, and do that.
Yeah,
and then we've got fullness, right? But I was going to say one of the things for and I would say not just beginners. It's funny. I think a lot of the mistakes that rookies make, veterans make too.
Oh,
and because everything is kind of cyclical, right? So you start down here, get a little bit of success, and then comes hubris, and then usually that's just before the fall, right? And then on the way down, right? Making all those rookie mistakes, right? And one of the things I can speak from from experience on either end of the thing is be nice to everybody. You don't know who's going to be the person that can give you a job later. You don't know who's the person that's going to be successful that you didn't know, and you just don't know everything about everybody. Like I've had several instances where in the creative arts, but also in the martial arts world, where I would meet people and they just kind of blow me off like, oh, you're nobody. And then I would get some type of position, like for instance, when I got a position as I became the chairman of this one martial arts organization, all these people who blew me off all of a sudden were just like, oh, it's so good to see you. And this. Well,
they're like,
you don't
I'm just a nobody, go away.
Yeah. And exactly. For me, it's like, I didn't change, right? I just know that their view of who I was changed, so it really doesn't cost you that much just to be a decent person.
Right.
And then what's that saying? Be good to the people that are helping you on the way up, because they'll be there to help you on the way down.
Right. Yeah.
That kind of situation.
And it's funny that's one of the things that you wanted to add, Curtis, because for about 2 years, one of the things that I did in my class was once a month, I had an industry comic writer. I had one or two animation writers, but I don't know very many of them. But I had them field questions for an hour from my students, right? We would just go on a Zoom, and my students would just ask questions and they would answer them. Some of them, some of them I feel like, why did you ask that question? I answered it in class, you know. But at the end, I would kind of always say, hey, is there anything that we didn't ask that you want to add? And with I say without fail, almost every single one of them, and not necessarily in this language, but almost every single one of them said, "Don't be a jerk."
Yeah.
I had Frank Thierry. Do you know who Frank Thierry is?
Mhm.
Yeah. His language was far more colorful than that, but it amounted to, "Don't be a jerk."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I think that's right. I think that nobody wants to work with the jerk.
No.
You want to work with pleasant people. If you got to work, you want to work with people that you enjoy. Enjoy the people.
No, one of the close things is I was talking to a friend in animation recently, and this person's like pretty high up there, and they're the head of their own team, right? So they're directing stuff and all that, and they're doing crazy overtime hours because the people under them who are newer to the industry are having issues. And so he's pitching in, and this is the difference between a manager and a leader. As a manager, he doesn't have to do anything. As a leader, as the director of a project, he went ahead and he's doing all this overtime to help pick up the slack that his people need to help them get right side up. And what he told me, I thought was so fascinating, and he's very accomplished. But what he said is, he goes, "So it's great you're being a leader." He goes, "It's not just that." He goes, "I don't know which of these guys are going to make it big. They may remember me later, and they may give me a job and say, I remember when he helped me out when I was just starting out." And this is somebody that's a boss,
right,
to the people who are under them, but he sees them as his future employers. And I was like, that is cool, because that day will come. It happens. It happens sooner than you know.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too. You mentioned Tim DeVar. I look at several of those people without even naming names. Several of the people from the art department, the colorist, and things like that. And you look at the jobs that they're doing now, and you're like, wow, they're directing these animated shorts or these cartoons. I'm like, holy crap! I knew them when they were doing this. So you're right. You just and look, Hank Knaltz for 24 years, a VP there at DC Comics. It's thanks to Hank that I got to visit the DC Vault.
And I'll say, networking wise, the best time to reach out to somebody is when they lose a job or something like that. They will I've done that with multiple people, and that's usually when people scatter, is when somebody who's been in a position of power loses it, then they scatter. I'm always the one to go running, because one, they want to hear from somebody that's friendly. Two, they have the time to take my call.
Right.
And three, they're going to remember it later when they get back to the top.
And you're not asking them for a favor.
No, not at all. Not at all.
That's the thing, is that Hank's no longer the VP at DC Comics, so you reach out to him now. He knows that you're not asking for some favor from DC Comics. So and there's obviously there's a lot of that too. So you got just be nice to people.
Yeah, don't be a what?
Don't be a jerk. Or what was it? All kind of like, don't be a poopy head. Don't.
Don't be a certain orifice of the human. I'm not talking about belly button, so there.
All right. Well, my clock reads 9:52, so we should probably wrap it up. You guys have any closing thoughts, comments?
No, I think what you guys said, I think that's where it should end. Don't be a butthead. That's a good beginner mistake. People being pains in the behind.
Roberta, where can folks find you online?
You can find me at Facebook and Instagram. If you look under Roby Conroy, ROBI, you'll see me there.
All right.
Thank you.
Curtis, what about you? Where can folks find you on
Sure.
the interweb?
Actually, my neighbor's dog's going crazy, so I'm going to hand it over to Tommy.
He paused himself. Go to Florimonte is spelled Florimonte. Just look for me anywhere and everywhere, and you'll find me. I keep telling people I'm going to do some TikTok things, so I'm going to put some stuff up there. I know I'm not an 18-year-old girl that looks cute and stuff, but I'm still going to put some videos up there. So
Yeah. So I will say this, speaking of TikTok, so we do have we're working on a cool Silverline wide TikTok, and I'll know more about it this week.
cool.
And I expect all of you to participate. I don't want anybody going, well, I can't do that. It's some we want to do some cool stuff. So we'll know more about that end of this week. Tommy, did you figure out how you talked to me today about these questions? Can you get those on the screen? Did you play with that at all?
I didn't even try.
Okay. That's okay. That's okay, because that's what we're going to do next week. So
Okay.
you've
I'm
got
working on it.
6.5 days to figure it out.
I can do it if I'm not inking at the same time. I can do it on my iPad and then share my iPad to the screen, and then
Okay.
because that's what I'm doing the same. So yeah, I can do it. I'll just do I'll put the app on the iPad, and we can just share that to the screen.
Yeah. So and what's that called? Poddex?
Poddex.
Poddex.
Yeah, but what you're saying, we're gonna get cut. You
I
almost said
know. So next week we'll be doing Poddex, which is Tommy showed me some of it. It's kind of some random questions that we'll just all kind of rotate around and answer those. Yeah, it should be lots of fun. Stephen Brown said, "Thank you for letting me plug my comic on your stream." Of course, Stephen. We want to see you make your goal, and then Tommy wants to see it come across his desk so he can print it. So we're cheering for you. Curtis, the dog stop barking? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Little technical difficulty. So as far as me, you can find me online, of course. My martial arts school. You can find YouTube, Instagram, Tiger Crane 805, Tiger Crane Kung Fu on Facebook, and for my comic book, Shadow Ghost Comic on Instagram and YouTube. And lastly, keep an eye out for the music video is going to drop next month. So that's kind of the game plan.
Slow-mo Kung Fu.
and lastly, if you haven't seen it yet, the Comics Fu show I'm doing with Patrick Lugo, illustrator and comic book creator, and we figured out how to get it streaming on Silverline. So we have issue 2 just came out, and we have more to come. So please.
Yeah. Is it issue 3 next? Is it going to be every Friday or?
No. So the format's kind of interesting. What we're doing is it's all edited. So this edited with footage and things like that. We edit segments. And those come out maybe every couple of weeks, and then once we have enough segments to make a full 40-minute episode, then we'll release the whole episode. So
how long are your segments? Just like 15 minutes?
Yeah, 10-15 minutes, whether it's like a movie review or interviewing somebody or things like
fabulous.
That. Yeah, so that's the plan.
Very cool.
Thank
Very
you.
cool. Well, all right. Well, I'm rolling. You can find me on all the social medias, the Twitters, the Facebookers, everywhere that you can find social media. Look for me. Mostly though, you find me here hanging out with Silverline, which is my second family. And we'll see you next week. And until that time, remember to make mine Silverline. All right, everybody. Good night. I gotta find the outro here. Where is it at?